你愿意陪一个男生吃苦吗？
我不愿意，因为男人不值得。这个时代不需要靠男人。
你愿意陪一个男生吃苦吗？
不愿意。因为人生来都是来享福的，为什么要去陪一个男人吃这种苦呢？
我觉得我接受不了。因为我觉得现在社会上女生都是很现实的呀，就是你没有钱，然后我为什么要因为你有多爱我什么什么什么什么的，我就要跟你过呢？
你会陪一个男生吃苦吗？
不会。
为什么？
太苦了。
看到了吧？看来是变了，社会呢真的变了。
It seems that society has undergone significant changes. Nowadays, the values women hold when it comes to marriage and choosing a partner have become increasingly different. In the past, many women, when choosing a partner, were often focused on whether the man looked acceptable, whether he had a sense of responsibility, ambition, or whether his family situation was stable. In the past, as long as two people had a good connection and mutual attraction, the marriage would succeed. Such marriages, though not wealthy in the short term and perhaps a bit difficult at first, could still survive if the man was willing to work hard and had ambition. If the woman was genuinely committed to the relationship, the couple would be able to get through tough times. After a few years, life would improve. Good times are generally built by the couple's hard work. There were many boys from rural areas who came to the city to study or join the army, and then they got jobs. Although their families were still poor and they came from rural backgrounds, many city girls still married them without hesitation, and later they lived happily. This kind of example was very common. Therefore, as a young man, as long as you have ambition, as long as you look acceptable or have a good job, even if you don't have a lot of money now and life may be a bit hard, many women would still be willing to marry you. But now, it seems that this situation has changed a lot. Perhaps it's due to social factors, personal reasons, or family influences. Nowadays, many women think of marriage as a way to enjoy a good life, hoping that their husband's family is wealthy. Even if the man doesn't look great, as long as his family is rich, many women will still marry him without hesitation and slowly build affection afterward. In the end, it seems to be about money. On the other hand, many boys from rural families who may be good-looking but have average family backgrounds and jobs, struggle to find a girlfriend. If their conditions are even a little worse and their appearance isn't ideal, it becomes nearly impossible to find a partner. In the past, each village might have had one or two older bachelors, usually men who were poor or had disabilities. But now, every village has dozens or even more young men who can't find a girlfriend or get married for various reasons. Some of them come from families with decent conditions, owning houses in the countryside and even a car worth several tens of thousands of yuan, yet they still can't find a wife. This situation is widespread across the rural areas of the country. This has become a serious social issue that should attract the attention of the government. From a certain perspective, women's reluctance to marry men without money and endure hardship with them is a realistic consideration. It cannot be completely said that they are wrong. In today's society, it's really hard to live without money. Money is needed in all aspects of life. People's sense of comparison and vanity is becoming stronger. It's likely that fewer and fewer couples are willing to go through hardships together. Many people are only willing to share happiness but not hardship. Actually, in my opinion, suffering first and enjoying later is much better than enjoying first and suffering later. Many women marry into rich families, but they have no position in the family. Not only are they looked down upon, but even their families are also despised. Such a life is not worth it. On the other hand, some girls marry the right person. Even though life is tough at the beginning, the man works hard, and many of them eventually become wealthy. Isn't there a saying that goes, "The wife of a general wasn't always the general's wife. It was only after the man became a general that she became his wife." Friends, what do you think about the fact that many women today are unwilling to marry men and suffer with them?
为什么现在女生都不爱陪男生吃苦？
Why do so many girls nowadays refuse to endure hardship with men? If you're willing to suffer, then go ahead and suffer on your own. Why drag girls into it? To put it bluntly, you men don't really want to find a woman who can endure hardship and work hard alongside you. What you really want is a woman who sees value in you even when you're poor and have limited abilities, but who is still willing to provide support. It seems that deep down, you men believe that, even when your situation is tough and your capabilities are average, you should still have a woman who is willing to take on everything for you, like doing laundry, cooking, and raising children. But my question is, should we women really become that kind of selfless, silent giver? In the past, some men with poor conditions were able to find good wives, but that was because they happened to benefit from the historical dividends of that era. Do you understand? That kind of good life is long gone. Now, we women are not dating to engage in charity or poverty alleviation. If men want to solve their poverty issues, they should seek government aid, not a girlfriend. It's really annoying.
一件事儿，一个衣食无忧、从小被父母宠着的一个小镇女孩。
Many girls today are unwilling to endure hardships with boys, which is closely related to their upbringing and life experiences. For example, some girls who grew up in small towns with no worries about food or clothing, and were pampered by their parents, often face a complicated psychological conflict when they suddenly move to big cities. They originally lived comfortably in their hometown, where their families owned cars and houses, and their parents could arrange a stable job for them. But when they move to a big city, they are often faced with many difficulties, because their families are unable to help them settle down there, and they themselves have no intention of returning to their hometown. This situation places them in a dilemma. They neither want to return to their hometown to live a stable life, nor do they feel satisfied with living a lower quality life. The clearer the girl is about this desire, the harder it is for her to accept being with a boy who is still growing and struggling. This is because their expectations of a partner are no longer limited to mutual love and support in a romantic relationship, but instead lean towards finding someone who can care for her like her parents, allowing her to live a comfortable life without suffering. They hope to find someone who can help her establish herself in the big city and solve various problems in life. Even if they can't find such a person, they at least hope for a boyfriend who can provide care and support during the transitional phase. In other words, no matter what, they will not choose to suffer alongside a boy, because they have not experienced the journey from poverty to wealth or from hardship to happiness. Of course, not all girls think this way. Those who have relied on their own efforts and struggled from small towns to big cities often face more challenges and tempering. Their life trajectories have taught them that nothing in this world comes without effort. They do not believe that anyone will care for them unconditionally, nor do they expect someone to support them without asking for anything in return. They are more inclined to find a like-minded partner to work together with. In addition, there are local girls who have grown up in big cities. They are very familiar with the city's life, and do not need a boyfriend to replace the role of their parents. Therefore, these girls may have a purer view of love, and they are also more willing to endure hardships with a boy, because they know that in love, hardships and sweetness go hand in hand, and companionship and mutual effort are the key parts of a relationship.
如果说一个女人陪着一个男人从一无所有到什么都有，
If a woman accompanies a man and experiences the process of going from having nothing to having everything, as the man accumulates wealth, gains social status, and broadens his horizons, his expectations for the people and things around him will naturally become higher. It's also possible that his view of the woman who once struggled alongside him may change. As the man gradually becomes successful, his recognition of the woman around him may diminish. If the man and she are not married, and only in a long-term romantic relationship, as the man's value continues to increase, the probability of him choosing to marry her will gradually decrease. This change is in line with human nature, and there's no right or wrong in it. The core logic behind this is that the value of the two people no longer matches. When a person moves farther, climbs higher, and gains a wider perspective, they will naturally learn to view their contributions, returns, and resource acquisition through an investment mindset. At this point, they will be more inclined to cooperate with someone stronger and more valuable than themselves, because no one wants to easily lose the position they have worked so hard to build. Successful people often have more resources around them, which will also attract more young, beautiful, and outstanding women to approach them. In this situation, the emotional connection with a woman who has accompanied them for years may become relatively unimportant, even insignificant in the face of great benefits. This is part of human nature, and since human nature is like this, young women, don't invest a large amount of your time and energy into accompanying a man's growth, don't pin your future and fate on a man, and don't blindly seek a so-called potential stock. Because first, you may misjudge the person, and second, the time and energy you invest in a potential stock may not yield the corresponding returns.
Even if the man becomes successful, he may not understand gratitude, and your efforts may not be transformed into the rewards you deserve. The risks involved are simply too great. In fact, the most worthwhile potential stock to invest in is yourself. Only by betting on yourself do you have a greater chance of winning. If the man beside you is truly excellent, then while your relationship is becoming more stable and the emotional intensity is still at an appropriate level, you should take the initiative, seize the opportunity, and not remain in a passive state. You can rapidly advance the relationship when it reaches a certain stage, getting married and having children. Furthermore, you must continue to improve and grow yourself. Don't be lazy or avoid this process. Never let anyone or anything erode your determination to grow. Only in this way can you have more choices and irreplaceable value, and ultimately become a stronger person, making it harder for other women to replace you, while also helping you stay clear-headed.
这个年头还有一些大猪脑壳，相信爱情。
In this era, there are still many men full of fantasies, especially those who believe in so-called true love. You guys honestly haven't experienced much of life's storms. You are simply stuck in your narrow worldview. I tell you, I've had at least 50 girlfriends, not even counting those I found at the train station or on the streets. From my experiences with these 50-plus girlfriends, I have realized one thing. You need to know that in the real world, there is no such thing as true love. The only real thing is this money. Men, as long as you have money, there will be plenty of women who love you. Some naive men are always saying things like, I believe in love, or even swearing things like, we'll never part. Those are empty words not worth mentioning. What you should be doing right now is focusing on making money. To all the naive brothers out there, listen to me. Today's women are too realistic. 98% of women ultimately care about money. Stop fantasizing about true love.
现在的女孩有多现实，活生生的例子。
Nowadays, girls are really too practical. There are plenty of examples like this in real life. I have a friend whose son recently went on a blind date. Because his family owns a Volkswagen Lavida, he felt a bit embarrassed to drive it, so he specifically borrowed an Audi A6 from a friend. When he drove that car to meet the girl, wow, her eyes immediately lit up and she seemed really happy. It was clear that she was very interested in the A6, and they had a pleasant conversation. Then, this young man took her out for dinner and karaoke. He spent 2,000 yuan that day, not feeling at all hurt by the cost. Next, he went to ask her out for a second time, still driving the borrowed Audi A6 to pick her up. The girl was clearly even more pleased with his car, and their relationship seemed to grow closer. However, the twist came yesterday. That day, the young man drove his own Volkswagen Lavida to meet the girl. As soon as he parked the car, she glanced at it, and her expression immediately changed. She asked, "Why are you driving this car to pick me up?" The young man awkwardly replied, "This is my car. The other 2 times I was driving my friend's car." Upon hearing this, the girl immediately became cold and said something very practical. "Oh, then we won't go on a date today. You should go. I don't want to be embarrassed. You're driving a small 100,000 yuan car. Don't pretend to be rich. Don't try to impress me." With that, she turned and walked away. She even added, "If you don't have money, don't try to act like you do." Now you see, girls nowadays are really this practical, cutting straight to the point.
A sister asked me whether it's wrong not to want to go through hardships with her boyfriend. Then you go ahead and accompany him through the hardships. Why does society always emphasize that women should endure hardships, believing that only suffering with honor is a virtue worthy of praise? Why can't I just live easily, live better? If I'm with a man, and he has no money, do I have to suffer with him? Do I have to ride a bicycle with him, endure a hard life, and go through tough times together? Am I supposed to suffer with him, just so when he has money in the future, he can kick me to the curb? Why is it that women are expected to be the ones who suffer? I'm not against enduring hardships or going through tough times. Everyone has their own choices. But why is it that if I don't want to suffer alongside a man, I'm suddenly seen as a bad woman, not worthy of respect? I can accept my own struggles, and I can endure hardships, but if I'm with a man, why must I follow society's set rules, and feel that if I don't suffer with him, I'm a bad woman? Isn't this a form of PUA for women by society? In these traditional views, women are praised for enduring hardship and suffering. Why is the willingness to suffer with a man used as a standard to judge women? Why can a man have money and resources and easily live well, while women are always expected to sacrifice more in order to gain recognition? In fact, the logic and unspoken rules behind this deserve our deep reflection. Sisters, we must be kind to ourselves.
Many girls often say something like this. Why should I suffer with this guy? I've been spoiled since I was a child. Now I found a boyfriend, and I have to rent a house with him, eat instant noodles, and use cheap cosmetics. So why should I waste my youth helping a guy grow? My parents didn't bring me into this world to suffer with him. This might sound like it makes perfect sense, but if you were to ask her if she thinks it's natural for a guy to spend money on his girlfriend, she would definitely say yes. Isn't it supposed to be that way? Isn't it only natural for a man to pamper his girlfriend? Actually, this is the mindset of most girls today. So why do men have to rent houses? Many men, in fact, already have their own homes in their cities. Or even if they don't, many of them are capable of buying a house. Is instant noodles really that delicious? Are they really unable to afford a bowl of noodles costing tens of yuan, or a meal that costs a few dozen yuan? In fact, many men earn more than 10,000 yuan a month, even more in some cases. A meal that costs a few dozen yuan isn't that expensive, but because they are men, they've been educated since childhood to endure hardships and save up for their future families. They are expected to bear the responsibility of supporting a family. A girl may earn 3,000 yuan a month, but spend 8,000 yuan. Is that called hardship? A man may earn 10,000 yuan a month, but he only dares to spend 800. I think that's what true hardship looks like. It's not that you're suffering with him. It's that he's suffering for you. Without you, he could earn 10,000 yuan a month and spend 8,000. Actually, what men want from their girlfriends isn't that they pull them up when they're at their lowest, but they just hope she'll be by their side. Even just watching them recover is enough for them to feel content. But in reality, how many men can really make their girlfriends eat instant noodles and live in a basement? They have already given you their best. The house, the car, and the attitude you want. Why are girls still not satisfied? Don't project all your desires and fantasies onto men. We should live more realistically. There are no perfect rich men, and you're not some kind of rich heiress. If you can't appreciate his effort, then I think you don't deserve his wealth. Do you agree with my point of view? Feel free to leave your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us, and we will continue to provide you with better content. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.